Retro Hangover is supported via Patreon by listeners like you. We would especially like to thank patrons Lyle McCarns, Randall Quiggle, Tony G, Tom the Superhero, Studstill Smash the Milkman, Lucas from Game Over Hell, Raging Demon from Command List, Mast Keaton, JC, Ozzy Garcia, Megan Caruso, Dave Jackson from Tales from the Backlog, Retro Overdrive, Soha, Storm Beagle and Captain N from Retrotopia, The Emperor, Matt aka Stormageddon from Funning Games and Reignite Podcasts, Van Fernal and B. Ross from Super Garbage Day, Jared Breland, Keith Gasper from the Main Quest Podcast, Retro Vixen, Eric Guess from the Unlockables Podcast, Nomad from the Retro Wildlands Podcast, Ash Event, Alan Bingham, Mike the Ref from Backbreaker Gaming, Alt, Low 5 Alex from Low 5 Gaming, Oh Me, Gary Heather, Makeshift Money, Riskel, Sega Boy 7, and Adam R. Your continued engagement and generous donations are deeply appreciated. Welcome to The Flight, a consumable curation of champions and catastrophes that is considerate of your chronometer. Today, we're freeing the bee, as we are talking about the best Hudson Soft games, in our opinion. And it's Chris of the Retro Hangover Podcast, but you knew that already. And I'm joined by the stinger himself. It is Shane, a Dick Dragon Saltaire. Welcome on this joyous occasion where we get to talk about a bunch of Hudson Soft games.
Yeah, it was a great occasion for me to remember which games I have played that were Hudson Soft joints, being like, oh right, I liked that.
Yes. I know that our lists are going to be significantly different because I don't think you have an intimate history with the TurboGrafx 16.
I do not. No.
Yeah. Whereas I do. So there you go, listeners. You can almost guarantee that our lists are going to be perhaps pretty divergent. By the way, thank you, Keith Gasper from the Main Quest Podcast, of recommending the Hudson Soft Games topic. If you want to recommend topics or vote on topics, you can join our Patreon, which we will talk about when we get to the end of this episode on the Linktree, for as little as $1 a month. And it's part of our Discord, which is free to join. However, you do have to be a patron in order to nominate topics. I'll leave it at that. So Shane, how about to get us started, you give us your number 5 Hudson Soft game.
Number 5.
Okay, so I tried my best. First of all, there is an embarrassment of riches when it comes to Hudson Soft games because there are a lot of them. But I tried to stick to ones that I know personally so that I could at least speak to them. It would have been very easy for me to come up with just a top 5, just objective list of like, this is what most people think the best Hudson Soft games are. I think there's some crossover here anyway, but I tried to stick with what I know, and I'm starting this one off at number 5 because I know it the least out of the rest of them, even though I think the argument could be made that it probably would be higher on other people's lists. So I'm kicking things off with Bonk's Adventure. There are a number of reasons, right? I think, in a way, I think Bonk sort of like served as the PC Engine's like unofficial mascot, particularly the game. And there's some things that make it like notably exceptional, especially, contemporaneously, like for instance, the headbutting mechanic in the game, it's actually a lot more versatile than you would think at first. It was the same for me too, where I was just like, oh, okay. I mean, that's kind of cool, I guess. But you get multi-directional attack with it. You can attack from below, above, like just direct head on, no pun intended, kind of. Yeah. And each of those approaches kind of give you like sort of different strategic, advantages. And then like the power up system with like the meat and stuff giving like, the temporary invincibility and stuff like that's pretty cool. It really, the way that it's structured, and I think part of the reason that I do like it is that it does encourage more aggressive gameplay with just how the mechanics are structured. And so it really kind of wants you to get into this like good groove of forward momentum. Plus you get like, some of the cool exploratory elements like the wall climbing and stuff like that. So, overall, a solid game. And it's the one that I know the least about though, because I haven't played it all the way through. And so that's why it's kind of at the bottom of my list, but, I think it deserved a shout out nonetheless. So.
All right, my number 5 is a game that did appear on one of my Game of the Year lists. It is a Saturn title that I didn't realize was a Hudson Soft game. I think a lot of games that I looked on the list of Hudson Soft games were not to my knowledge Hudson games. But my number 5 is going to be Bulk Slash, a kind of 3D, I want to say space shooter adventure, kind of as a third-person shooter, where you go and recruit waifus to join you on your journey, each with different benefits. And it's a great game. Once again, with great translation, by the way. If you can get this game translated it's not hard to do. You can find it if you would like to. It's quite out there. The job that translation team did is utterly incredible. I guess that doesn't really qualify it as a Hudson Soft game, but it would have been if it came over here anyway. But I love Bulk Slash. I think it's a really fun game. It's a little pricey, of course, it's a Saturn game, but hey, there's so many ODE options for the Saturn nowadays that if you do happen to have that console, you don't really have to worry about that much now, do you? And if you get the version that is pricey, I mean, you're not playing it in English. So it is a great game. I love Bulk Slash. It's pretty simple. I love waifus, and I enjoyed my time thoroughly with it. I'm putting it as my personal number 5.
Number 4.
All right. Well, we're going to move right up the list to my number 4. And it's one of those titles because there are a few that I could probably name, but that sort of fit into this. It's not even a real category, but it's sort of like a category in my brain of like two-dimensional, like Dark Souls-y predecessors, just in sort of the way that they present themselves, just the overall like kind of mood and ambiance of it with that sort of like low fantasy medieval type shit. And that is Faxanadu. Yeah. So I actually remember when I first bought this cartridge, and I say that like it was back in like the 90s or like the late 80s. It wasn't. It was like 10 years ago, but I remember buying it and just honestly just being intrigued by the look of the artwork and like the box art and et cetera, because it really spoke to me. I dig that medieval type shit, man. And I really love what the game does. Like, I'm not going to say that it doesn't have its flaws, because it does. And it can be frustrating at times for sure. But there's a number of things that I think it does really well. And one of those is like sort of that atmospheric world building. Like the fact that it's set like in and on top of this just giant like world tree also just really gives me like strong Elden Ring vibes now that I think about it. But having that variety of like the towns and like the tree roots, the mountain fortress and like all that shit, the atmosphere is great. It does this really cool job of like being, I'm not going to say the first, because I'm not going to speak authoritatively on that, but like a very early attempt. Yeah, no, I'm just right. Because I have a microphone.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
Yeah. But it's a very early attempt at blending several different genres. So you get like the sort of platforming action from it, but it also mixes in role-playing type stats. And then you also get more like adventure gamey kind of elements for and it gives you this like more varied experience than just like a straight platformer or just an RPG. And you know, you could say other ones have tried that because they have. I mean, you could like Zelda 2, for example, is a lot like that. But I think Faxanadu does a pretty good job of pulling it off. I would also say that the soundtrack is pretty good. I was actually poking around about this, and what I've gathered is that the opinion of the masses in general is that it's one of the top soundtracks on the NES. So I guess
Really?
yeah, that's what I gathered. I was kind of surprised too, but I do dig it. And then of course, just like I said, the visual style, it's got this very like mysterious, surreal kind of like dark, like low fantasy thing going on. That's my sweet spot. So yeah, Faxanadu, my number 4.
By the way, I would love to do an episode about Faxanadu someday.
Heck yeah. Should put it down in like 2027 or something when we have a slot open.
I have a slot open in 2026. I can put it there.
Oh shit. Okay.
We'll see.
Well, there you go.
We'll see.
Maybe.
No promises, Keaton.
Yeah.
Looking at you. You don't audit us, so I appreciate it. You haven't done that in a very long time. So you should, because it's entertaining for me. Maybe not for you. Maybe that's why you stopped doing it. Anyway. Okay. My number 4 goes back to Shane's number 5 in many ways. Because it is a bonk game. It is, in my opinion, what is the best bonk game, which is Bonk's Revenge. It is the sequel to Bonk's Adventure. I have not played Bonk 3. I have played Air Zonk, if that counts. But Bonk's Revenge, I think, is a fantastic little platformer. I think it has all of the things that make a great game. I actually think it's one of the games that best defines what the TurboGrafx 16 was, especially in North America. It's what should have been, theoretically speaking, a launch game. I understand that's not how games work. I understand it came out considerably after launch. But Bonk's Revenge is a game that I think would have drawn more people to the console. I wouldn't say it's superior to any Sonic or Mario game, but it definitely is a quality game that felt just right within the mascot platformer. It's a very high quality game that has tons of personality. And I think it does in the personality department. I think it does eclipse any Sonic or Mario game. And I think that could also be said for Bonk's Adventure, what Shane was getting into. And I think the personality really puts it over the top for me. Is it the best controlling game? Not all the time, no. But it has enough charm to really carry it. And this is a childhood memory of mine. And these are games that, all these games that I've listed so far, these are games I've played, and well, so far I'm on number 4, but all the games I'm going to list are games that I have played and games I hold dear. So if your favorite Hudson Soft game is not on here, that's probably why. But Bonk's Revenge, fantastic, and I highly recommend it to everybody who has ever owned a TurboGrafx or currently owns a TurboGrafx, the very few of us. But yeah, that's my number 4, Bonk's Revenge.
Number 3.
All right. Well, we are hitting the middle of the list, and this, okay, if we were going to, if we're going to cross the streams anywhere, I think that it would probably be here. I could be wrong. I don't know, but we will see. My number 3 is Blazing Lasers.
Okay.
Apparently, I don't know how to take that. Well, I guess we'll find out. I don't know. So Blazing Lasers, it's pretty good, man. Like I remember, I think we did a high score challenge for this, didn't we? I think we did.
We did.
Yeah.
I think we did.
Yeah. So there are a number of things going for this game, right? Like there's just an abundance of power-ups. It's just like this nonstop stream. So you're getting firepower upgrades. You're kind of like trying to do some strategic weapon switching. I think one of the other things to note is that it is a bit of a technical achievement in that it really does offer like a really smooth, rapid, sense of motion and action and gameplay with the large number of sprites that are on the screen at any given time with pretty much no slowdown. So it does a pretty good job of showcasing the TurboGrafx-16's, hardware capabilities, particularly compared to, other consoles of the same era. And the other piece, as always with a lot of these, especially I think with shmups, because I feel like that tends to stand out in those for some reason, at least in my mind, than maybe some other genres. But the audio is pretty great. It's got a lot of really excellent, catchy tunes, and plus the art direction is pretty solid too. There's a pretty decent variety of stage designs and things like that. So as far as like shooters go, again, I don't know if I would give it as high a praise just because I don't have that much of an attachment to it as I'm sure some other folks do, but the general sentiment that I got on the World Wide Web was that it is pretty consistently regarded as one of the best shooters on the TurboGrafx. So yeah, there you go. Blazing Lasers.
All right, so you might hear that game again and hear my thoughts on it. Who knows? Stick around. All right, my number 3 is Ys 4, The Dawn of Ys. So I will also say that I played this game as a translation effort, much in the same vein as Bulk Splash. The translation that is out there that you can find on the internet that is in the English language is fantastic. Now, I do have to stress that any of the Ys games could have easily ended up on this list, as they were all technically Hudson Soft games. And this was a Hudson Soft. I don't know who developed this. I don't think it was Falcom. It may have been maybe it was Falcom. It's very difficult to say. Quintet did 1 through 3. But Hudson Soft was more of a publisher than a developer, and I'm just putting them all in the same basket. And the reason you really have to stress it for Ys 4 is because on the Super Nintendo, there was Ys 4 Mask of the Sun. And there's also a remake of Ys 4 that's called Ys Memory of Celceta. And then there's a remake on the PS2 that's based off Mask of the Sun, I think. Anyway, this is the best version of the game. And this version just blew me away. The soundtrack is utterly fantastic. It returns to the combat of Ys 1, which is bump combat. And it has voiced over scenes. It's a little bit more anime, if you can believe that. I just found this to be a joy to play, and it harkens back to the first Ys game. It has a lot of fan service, and you could tell that the people who developed Ys 4, The Dawn of Ys, had a ton of appreciation and love for Ys 1 and 2. And it really shows through. Not that the people who made Mask of the Sun didn't, but I think there's more callbacks and there's more fan service to those fans. And the Turbo, or should I say PC Engine CD release here. And it's, for someone who really fell in love with Ys a couple of years ago, this game is one of my favorite in the franchise. So that's my number 3. I think it's fantastic. Ys 4 Dawn of Ys for the PC Engine CD. Go seek out that translation. Highly recommend it.
Number 2.
All right, well, Chris, you know what my number 2 is. It's funny that you should be talking about that series at your number 3, because my number 4, it's a little bit of a combo. It's a combo meal, if you will. And I think I said 4. I meant 2. Anyway, what are numbers? My number 2 is Ys 1 and 2.
Nice.
Yeah. It's the bump and grind, baby. I mean, that's part of the reason that I made that the subtitle of the episode for it. But they're not perfect. And if you want to know my full thoughts about that, please definitely go check out our Ys episode. But for the time, right? The combat was pretty innovative. The bump system where you kind of just defeat enemies by just kind of like running headlong into them instead of having to press an attack button. It's a little bit more like if combat were billiards, I guess. It's an interesting take. The game is pretty quick as far as like progression goes. It's fairly streamlined in its action. There's not a lot of downtime. And you also really have to remember you're comparing this to a period of time beginning here and then going for quite some time. I mean, you could argue it's still to this day for some CRPGs in particular, but a lot of RPGs, they were, maybe known for being a little big, a little long in the tooth. And you don't necessarily have to worry about that so much with Ys 1 and 2. And one thing that I do like, and this is all really in service of delivering that experience in the most like efficient way possible, is there's not this over reliance on just like exhaustive dialogue to try to, impart the story and the exposition to the player, but it really employs more like lore and like mystery and just world building to kind of draw you into the setting, making a lot more immersive than just kind of throwing, a novel at your face and just being like, yep, that's all that you need to know. There you go. So, also, I mean, for the record, since I included technological stuff earlier, I mean, Ys 1 and 2 was a bit of a tech milestone, really, in just like pioneering the utilization of CD-ROM technology for things like the enhanced graphics, the animated cutscenes, voice acting, which a lot of that was fairly groundbreaking for the time. So yeah, there you go. Ys 1 and 2. Got to get that bump and grind.
Great choice. Great choice. I love that choice, personally, gotta say. All right. My number 2. And look, I gotta add a little bit of a disclaimer here for my number 2, because I think some Saturn fans are going to be upset with me, and you should be. There should be. You can take away my Saturn fan card with the comment I'm about to say. I've never played Saturn Bomberman, so I have no opinion on it. And I was considering including Bomberman 64, but I haven't played it in a long time, and I think I love it, but I would love to try that again. RHRC, but we're playing a dating game instead. Besides the point, my pick is going to be what I think is the best Bomberman game, aside from Saturn Bomberman, because I haven't played it, but I have played this one, and it is a great Bomberman game. So this is the greatest Bomberman game I played, which is Bomberman 94. For the PC Engine. I think it came out for the TurboGrafx 16 as well. It's just Bomberman perfection. It's chaos and multiplayer. It's one of the best structured single player experiences for Bomberman that you can possibly have in a traditional Bomberman environment. It's just a load of fun. If you love Bomberman, you're going to love Bomberman 94. It might be a little too much if I'm being honest with you, because I do love the original Bomberman as well. So if you're a fan of that, where it's more basic, you might prefer that action. And Bomberman 94 adds some complexities, like riding some kangaroo monster, and you can do different things with the kangaroo beast. And this is, I think it's great, but that might not be for you. But I love it. So Bomberman 94, it's a great game, and more people should play it if you love Bomberman. It's not as available as it should be. It's not. More Bomberman. Free the bee, Konami. Get on it. I want a Bomberman collection. Bomberman TurboGrafx collection. Now.
I almost had Bomberman 94 on my list, mostly because I thought I needed a filler. Because I don't like Bomberman. So
you're a heathen.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure we're gonna end up talking about that at some point. Actually, we should just really piss off all the Bomberman fans and just have our first Bomberman episode be about that like gritty reboot one that sucked.
The Xbox 360? Yeah. Hi, everybody. Here's our first Bomberman episode. The one you love.
Yeah, this is the best one, right?
The best one. That matches the box art of the original Bomberman, ironically.
Number 1.
All right, so my number 1 is, it's kind of a hate pick in a way, because like,
ooh,
I know it deserves to be there. I don't particularly like it, but I have to recognize the impact that it has. Okay, it's more. I have ups and downs with it. It's Mario Party. It's fucking Mario Party. So
Mario Party 1.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, okay. So this is why I'm not saying that it's my personal number one Hudson Soft game. I'm saying that I think it deserves to be there though, because of just how like influential this game was. I mean, I don't think it's particularly hyperbolic to say that it went a long way to just honestly kind of revolutionizing multiplayer gaming. Like this particular collaboration between the B and Nintendo really sort of spawned almost an entirely new genre of like digital board game party experiences. Like it wasn't just
That's
like
fair.
something that you'd seen before. It was something almost entirely new, and it really brought that social aspect into gaming in a way that was a lot more accessible than a lot of other games had been up until that point. Now, part of the reason I'm not gonna say I don't like, part of the reason that I'm not like the biggest fan of Mario Party just as a series is actually part of the reason that it's more accessible in a way, because it tries to balance skill and just pure fucking dumb luck. And the pure dumb luck part of it is what pisses me off, because like I'm a very strategic like board game player if I'm playing something competitive, and to have an element that is just straight up like, well, I don't know, that's the way the cookie crumbles, man. Like, fuck you, I'm stealing your star. Like I hate that shit. And so I think that's part of my dislike for the series as a whole. But I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't recognize Mario Party for just how important it actually is. So that is why it is my it is my begrudging number one.
Begrudgingly. I thought you would say Mario Party 2 is where it's at. That's the big revolution right there, I think.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I went with the first, the OG.
that's fair. That's fair. So we both picked multiplayer games.
Mm.
Games known for the multiplayer. Bomberman, Mario Party. My number one is not a multiplayer, though. It's not a multiplayer game. It's not. It's a single player game. And Shane may have mentioned it because this is my list. And I'm going to pick my favorite game that I saw on the list because it's one of my favorite games, period. And that is Blazing Lasers for the TurboGrafx 16. It's phenomenal. I love this game. It's a 10 out of 10, and no one can tell me otherwise. It is the ultimate shooter for anyone trying to get acclimated into the genre. It is so difficult to find a shooter that balances out difficulty so much that you feel, and this should be the typical shooter, you should feel empowered with the first few stages. You should almost feel like the game is too easy in the first few stages until it ramps up, until eventually you're fighting bubbles and the bubbles are kicking your ass. That's what Blazing Lasers is. It's one of those games that I feel like is like McDonald's French fries, where you love eating them and then you keep eating them, and then at the end you feel bad for eating it. I guess that's a horrible comparison, but I feel like in some ways it applies because like you keep coming back to it, and it's addictive, and it's kicking your ass. Like, oh, my digestive system isn't feeling so good, but I fucking love this food. That's Blazing Lasers. That's what it is. And it's not that difficult at the end either. There are far, far, far more brutal shooters out there. But I think if you want a good introduction, something that's going to show you the ropes about how a shooter should operate without being too cutesy like a cute 'em up, and without being too brutal like an Aero Blasters, which is another Hudson game for the TurboGrafx 16 at least. I don't know about the Sega side of things, but something that's not too punishing, like Blazing Lasers is where it's at. You know, the Star Soldier series is a phenomenal one too, and it does a lot of the similar things, but I think just Blazing Lasers brings everything together phenomenally. I think that's because it's a compile game. I have to go back and make sure it's a compile game. But the compile knew what they were doing, and Hudson's did as well by publishing this game. But it's just a rock solid experience all the way around. Great graphics, great soundtrack, great controls, great difficulty curve. Yeah, Blazing Lasers is where it's at. It's my favorite Hudson Soft game. It's one of my favorite games of all time. There's no way I couldn't make that number one.
See, I had a feeling that that was the case when I heard your reaction, but for us, I had a second of doubt there because it almost sounded like you were like, ooh. And I was like, wait, does he not like Blazing Lasers? I'm pretty sure he does.
I was hoping it would be higher than 3, but you know what? Three's not a bad number.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just knew I'd have to. I thought we were going to be more divergent, and you had Bonk's Adventure, I had Bonk's Revenge, you had East 1 and 2, I had East 4, and we both had Blazing Lasers. So, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it wasn't that separate as I would have thought.
I mean, I guess in all fairness, this list went through several like iterations. I had the Star Soldier series on my list for a hot minute, and then
It's really good.
ended up dropping it in favor of some other things. And there were a few others I kind of cycled in and out, but yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, you know, what's good is good. What can you say? But there you have it.
Yeah.
Folks, we have come to the conclusion of these here lists. So what do you think about our picks? Do they line up with your Hudson faves, or are you like, how dare they not mention this game that is so near and dear to me? Of the like, I don't even, are they in the hundreds? I actually looked, but they were at least definitely in high double digits as far as games that Hudson Soft was associated with over the decades. So there's a lot. So there's a good chance that, you know, maybe your fave is not on our lists, and we'd love to hear what that is. And the best way to do that would be to join our Discord. It is open, it is public, it is free. So, I mean, really, you don't have much of an excuse not to, is kind of what I'm hearing. So, you know, feel free to jump in there, go into the episode discussion channel, and, you know, let us know what your thoughts are on it. We'd love to have that chat, as well as all the other folks that are in the Discord. They are the ones that are keeping those discussions going, for sure. And it is a lively place. So definitely check that out, as well as all our other stuff, which happens to be the Patreon, or our merch store, our new and improved merch store that we are continually adding some new items to, as far as different variations on some of the designs that we have now, or variations of items for the designs that we have. We also just added a new design thanks to one of our lovely patrons, Mr. Randall Quiggle provided us with one. So if you are a Squaresoft Final Fantasy fan, perhaps you should check that out. And let's see. So all that stuff's at a link tree. We made that simple for you. There's a lot of things, but they're all in one place. So you're welcome. You just got to go to linktr.ee/retrohangover, and that is where you will find all the goodies. Chris, anything else that you would like to add to this shill marathon before we call it a day?
Keith wants to free the bee.
Yeah, he
You should want to
does.
free the bee too. Maybe because he recommended this. So free the bee. Always free the bee. And maybe we'll stream a Hudson Soft game when this episode comes out. Maybe we won't. But if you want to know if we can do that or not, and I didn't mention this in the last flight, who cares? But maybe Shane does. He's probably seething, but or not. I don't know what Shane is feeling at the moment, because I'm not in the same room with him. Because that's the beauty of podcasts. So he can't punch me at the moment. So if you want to join us on the stream, you can head over to twitch.tv/retrohangover, or go to our YouTube channel and see us there. We might have our most recent episode up there on YouTube as well. Who knows? Shots fired.
Maybe.
Once again, Shane's gonna kill me. But join us over one of those streams, and let's have a good time while Shane is probably going to completely bury me here in a second. So there it is. Back to you, Shane.
It's fine. I'll just delete the YouTube channel. It's easier that way anyway.
No.
All right. Well, I suppose with all of that having been said, until the next flight.
Play with your rapidly pressing buttons and Adventure Island joysticks.